Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to the Telehead Audiobook channel, where stories come to life through the magic of sound. I am your host, Telehead, and I'm here to guide you through a world of imagination. Hawthorne crossed over and ended up in a saintly monastery full of beautiful women. Here, he met intellectual and gentle Sister Heidi, petite and aloof Sister Yuta, knowledgeable and gentle Sister Butterfly, and Sister Celine, who had a leader's temperament, maturity, and steadiness. But having cleared the pure love route in the game Witch Monastery, he knew very well that each of them was a terrifying monster that devoured people without blinking an eye. So, sit back, relax, and let the stories unfold. Let's embark on this adventure together.
Chapter 36, Yuta's Hiding Place. Slum Interior. Looking at the familiar little house in front of him, Hawthorne was almost moved to tears. Finally found it. The sun has long since set, and the twin moons show signs of leaning south. He wandered around the slums for 2 or 3 hours before finally finding this place. No way, the slums during the day and at night are completely two different worlds. This is another area where he didn't consider carefully. After all, in the game, unless there is significant progress in the plot, the map will not change at all. No matter when he goes to that place, the map remains the same. But in reality, it's different. If the residents of a certain household suddenly have a whimsical idea and modify their decorations, move some things around, or if a certain earthen wall collapses due to a fight, etc., it will completely change the appearance of this place. And because of this, it brought Hawthorne a lot of troubles. In addition, in the darkness, although his light technique is bright, it is still far from the sunlight and cannot reach more places. In the gloomy world, it makes him even more insecure in walking. Fortunately, at least along this journey, he still maintained a basic sense of direction. Even if he lost his way, he could look up at the sky and still be able to discern it. The good thing about the night of the double moon is just this: 2 moons hanging in the sky at the same time, at least it will never lose its direction. So, although slowly, he finally arrived at the right place. He then walked to the door and looked at the lock hanging on it. Without hesitation, he raised his hand and unleashed a burst of magic energy, an invisible force field, smashing into the connection between the lock and the door. Bang bang bang. He is not afraid of alarming anyone. The noise from the explosion of magic is much smaller than that of thunder and lightning. Even if it is late at night, it won't attract any outsiders. And as for Yuta hiding in the room, oh, she is now transforming back to her original form, so weak that she can't even move a muscle. Hawthorne is even more afraid of disturbing her. Rather, let this witch wait in tension and fear for my arrival. Bang! Although this door is considered sturdy, it cannot withstand the continuous bombardment of magic energy explosions. Soon, the lock fell to the ground, and the gap in the middle of the door opened slightly. Success! Without hesitation, he stepped forward and kicked it, immediately kicking open this decaying door. Thick dust fell down, instantly filling the room with smoke and foul air. But at this moment, Hawthorne couldn't care less about the dirtiness. He hurried inside and, illuminated by the bright light emitted by the Lumos spell, immediately saw the pile of disordered and decaying ironware in the center of the house. And buried beneath countless pieces of scrap metal, covered in rust and a thick layer of dust, is a massive blade that appears completely inconspicuous. But Hawthorne knew that this thing was the disguise Yuta used to get through the witch's night. About 500 years ago, in a certain kingdom in the west, there was a series of political turmoil that lasted for several years. One usurper after another came to power, becoming the new king, only to be overthrown by the next conspirator and sent to the guillotine. In less than 10 years, there were surprisingly 16 kings who were sworn in and then sent to the guillotine. On average, each king's reign lasted only 6 months, with the shortest one lasting less than 16 days. And this guillotine, because it has severed the heads of 16 kings recognized by the gods, is considered an ominous weapon. After the new king was crowned, he immediately placed all the blame on the guillotine, claiming that it had brought bad luck to the kingdom and caused nearly a decade of turmoil. The angry citizens dismantled it and then discarded it, but no one knew about the tragic death of the 16 kings who had been recognized by the gods. This tragedy was mixed with countless sorrows, resentments, angers, and fears of the people nationwide over the past 10 years, enough to give birth to some terrifying creatures. So, on the next witch's night, the powerful magic from the bottomless abyss mixed with this grudge, and the blade which Yuta was born. Therefore, her true form is not the guillotine, but a massive black mist that resembles a nightmare. It is only because her creation is connected to the guillotine that she instinctively likes these objects of similar appearance. By the way, because he has cut off the heads of a total of 16 kings, Yuta has an interesting nickname among the players called Skull Easy 16. Cough. However, none of this matters. Right now, at this moment, the most important thing is that this witch is about to be purified by herself. He then took a big step forward, bent down, and placed his hand on the huge blade. Then he silently recited, "Purify." Suddenly, the milky white light of purification completely enveloped the blade. The power of pitch-black chaos emerged from her, and then it was purified by a white light. The corroded blade rapidly transformed, and in an instant, she shed her disguise and returned to her most commonly used human form, a petite and coldly beautiful nun, draped in a black robe. Just at this moment, her face no longer had the calmness and coldness of the past. Her purple eyes were filled with shock. How did you find this place? And at the same time, she felt as if her soul was undergoing a transformation. There were irreversible changes happening at the very core of her being. This change suddenly made her even more fearful. "You filthy human, what are you doing to me?" Hawthorne sneered, "You don't need to worry about that, my noble and revered witch." Saying this, looking at her delicate face, Hawthorne, who had been hurt in the eyes by her twice before and threatened by her murderous intent, had to endure the frustration and shame of being confined in a small room for nearly a month. At this moment, all of it surged up in his heart, causing his eyes to become bloodshot, almost crimson. Hearing him say this, Yuta's beautiful eyebrows furrowed tightly, and his voice was filled with anger. "I knew it, you must be a threat from the monastery. The first day I saw you, I should have killed you immediately, regardless of Heidi's objections. I must kill you." When it comes to Heidi, she suddenly widened her eyes and recalled the various abnormal behaviors of the deep sea witch during these days, how she was completely obedient to him, and even doted on him in every possible way. Could it be that Heidi went through such changes, which led to her abnormal appearance? "No, I will never accept myself becoming like that. I'm going to kill you, you despicable mortal." She suddenly clenched her teeth tightly, and a milky white purifying light penetrated into her body. However, immediately after, swollen tumors like bumps suddenly appeared on her petite body, constantly shifting up and down. "I would rather lose control forever, but I will absolutely not." She gritted her teeth, her eyes filled with rage. "I will never, ever let you, this despicable human, succeed." Chapter 37, Rampage and Loss of Control. Hawthorne only felt a tremendous force suddenly attacking her arm, a force that he couldn't resist with his own strength. In an instant, he was almost knocked over to the ground. Although his hands still held onto her arm, the purification process continued, but his face still changed dramatically, unable to believe what he saw. "What's going on?" Regardless of the background or in the game, the description of Yuta is weak as a baby. How can she still have such strong power? Wait a minute. As he watched this person's body continue to swell, a terrifying speculation involuntarily popped into his mind. Could it be that this person is going to choose to lose control and perish together with me? Damn it, this part is not in the game. Why is Yuta's personality so fierce in reality? His speculation was not confirmed in time when he suddenly heard the witch let out a low roar. Then, beside her, a rusty blade suddenly became tainted with black mist, and a tremendous chaotic energy surged and roared on it, before uncontrollably flying towards the ceiling of the room. Boom! The chaotic energy exploded above, and in an instant, the dilapidated roof was immediately blown apart, with countless stones falling and smashing towards his head. Damn it! Hawthorne couldn't help but curse angrily, then he didn't dare to delay and quickly turned over to avoid it. However, as he turned over, he lost the strength to hold on to Yuta's hand, and the purification instantly stopped, causing this witch to completely lose control. Ah! She screamed in pain, her body quickly turned pitch black, and then began to expand. Soon, she had expanded into a black elliptical sphere over 2 meters tall. Countless bloody heads appeared on her body, faintly emitting mournful cries. Anyone who saw it would be scared and have nightmares for several days, or even become mentally unstable. This is the Blade Witch, the true form. Rising from the dust, Hawthorne, in a state of disarray, was taken aback by the sight, causing him to almost hold his breath. Damn it, how did things end up like this? There's no other way, run quickly. Without daring to delay, he quickly took out his Introduction to Silver Hair and used up the energy on it, taking a big step forward for himself. This spell can increase his walking speed by more than 30% for the next hour. With its help, even an ordinary person without any running training can easily outrun a world champion. After applying the buff, Hawthorne paused for a moment, spread his legs, and immediately sprinted. And in the background, after the complete transformation was over, the bloody heads on Yuta's body began to call out in unison, "Humans." Then, a magical black mist appeared around her lower body, and it started to accelerate, quickly chasing after Hawthorne. Outside Nangang, the deep sea's seabed, Heidi's body slowly sank to this place, and then gradually transformed back into its original form, a huge creature with countless green tentacles, with a central mouthpiece resembling a lamprey, and tentacles that were covered in tiny sharp teeth like hooks, following a swirling trajectory. Anyway, when the Night of the Witch arrives, she will lose control and revert to her original form, so it's better to start off in this appearance for easier self-control. Beside her, there are scattered baits emitting an enticing aroma, attracting nearby fish. She needs to eat. During the frenzy of the witch's night, if she cannot find a target to kill, she is likely to uncontrollably self-harm. Therefore, she needs to attract some fish to avoid being harmed by herself. Time passes by minute, as the twin moons appear on the edge of the eastern sky, familiar and boundless magic surges into her body. Here it comes. She cheered up and prepared to relax her will, completely surrendering her body to the uncontrollable power of magic. With her experience, she knew that resisting at this moment would be futile, so it was better to give up early and avoid unnecessary hardship. But this time, she was wrong. When the power from beyond the world filled her body, the expected loss of control did not happen. She felt as if her soul had opened a channel, and those excessive, unfamiliar forces that would have made her lose control rushed out along that channel, keeping her body constantly filled with magical energy, slightly expanding, yet without feeling any pain. And as a witch, she herself is primarily a magical creature composed of magic power. Maintaining this stable state at the moment allows her power to slowly but perceptibly increase. This discovery left Heidi stunned. What's going on? I not only did not go crazy and lose control because of the witch's night, but instead, better condition and even stronger. Is this the reason why I didn't feel the signs of the witch's night coming before? But why would this happen? This clearly goes against the rules. I am a witch, one of the magical beings in the multiverse who is most susceptible to the influence of chaotic magic. She didn't understand, so she calmed down and carefully sensed the direction in which those magical powers slipped away, trying to figure out where exactly these powers had gone. What can be determined is that the direction in which the magic flies away is upwards, and then slightly north. That direction is the slum area of Nangang District. Wait, could it be? Is it because of the master? Suddenly, she thought of the only possibility, and instantly became excited, trembling all over, unable to control herself. Yes, half a year ago, I was doing well with no abnormal conditions. But in the past 6 months, the biggest change that has happened to me is that my soul has been purified by the master, my physical defects have been repaired, and a soul contract has been established. Ah, it must be so. My great master not only fills the void in my soul but also helps me overcome the painful flaw of the witch's night. She was so moved that she couldn't help herself, wishing she could immediately return to Hawthorne's side. However, she still hadn't mastered teleportation, so she could only rely on countless tentacles to vigorously wave, and then her entire massive body swiftly swam upstream towards the surface of the sea. Tonight, The master is going to subdue Yuta, and he previously mentioned that the location he is going to is in the slums. She happily approached, but then a faint, fearful and discordant emotion arose in her heart, leaving her instantly confused. How could I have such emotions? No, this is not my emotion, but... Yes, master. The master is in danger now. Realizing this, she suddenly felt extremely restless. She activated the surging magic power within her body, which gushed out behind her effortlessly, like a powerful jet engine. Instantly, her body accelerated once again, swiftly flying back to the harbor. Fortunately, the direction of the surging magic was her best guide, allowing her to not worry about getting lost and head straight towards Hawthorne's direction. Chapter 38: Escape and Intercept. In an instant, fear intensely stimulated Hawthorne's nerves, making him dare not look any longer. He gasped heavily, leaning against the nearby wall, and slowly made his way to the other end of this extremely narrow path. He felt a pain in his lungs as if they were about to explode, yet, even so, he could only walk forward with great difficulty, passing through this alley and then reaching the other side, a wide street. But at this moment, the surrounding environment kept him busy without a moment's rest. On the right corner of his right hand, there is another group of gangsters running towards him, holding torches. As soon as they see his figure, they immediately start screaming, "There he is, catch him!" In the dimly lit environment, with only the faint light from torches, these thugs are unable to distinguish between enemies and bystanders. They can only hold on to the mindset of rather catching the wrong person than letting anyone go, and thus they beat up everyone they see. In response, Hawthorne could only curse angrily, "You bunch of damn bastards, you all deserve to be beheaded by Yuta." But even so, he can only turn left now and start running wildly. Then, these guys started again. "Crossbowmen, release the arrows." Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. This time, Hawthorne had some experience and immediately recited the short spell, Shield. Shield spell. This is an instant, extremely powerful magic shield that can effectively reduce the physical damage suffered by the caster at any moment. The only drawback is that its duration is only 6 seconds, so you must react quickly and judge accurately, otherwise, it will be a waste of 2 points of mana. Just like he is now, the thug's crossbow bolts all missed, not a single hit. So, 6 seconds later, his shield dissipates, wasting 2 points of mana. Forget it, 2 points of magic power, change for peace of mind. There is a bend ahead, and just as he was about to run past it, he saw a bright flame behind the corner. Surprisingly, there were also 6 or 7 hooligans on this side. These guys, why are they everywhere? No way, but now he can't run a single step. Panting heavily, he looked around and saw a dilapidated wooden house at the corner, which had been abandoned for a long time. He then used all his remaining strength to rush into the house, using it as a cover, panting heavily. And seeing that he actually hid, the courage of the gangsters outside rose rapidly. Several people in the front row held torches in one hand and drew curved knives from their waists in the other hand. They cursed while cautiously walking towards the door, saying, "You little bastard, come out if you dare. You can't run anymore, now beg for mercy, and I might spare your life. Come out, I promise, if you hand over the things, I won't hurt you." Inside the wooden house, Hawthorne listened to the angry curses outside, and his anger rose steadily. "I let the witch chase me, that's fine, but you guys, a bunch of people, don't even consider your own abilities and dare to provoke me? Very well, since you brought this upon yourselves, don't blame me. Enduring the surrounding dust and the faint, musty smell of rotting wood, I silently recite the incantation. The protective spells of Blade Ward and False Life are then cast upon me, enveloping my entire being." Originally, he also wanted to wear the armor of Aegis, but after hesitating for a moment, he ultimately gave up. Compared to artificial life, the protective ability provided by the Aegis armor of Aegises is extremely weak and can easily be pierced by powerful crossbow arrows. And this spell can only trigger a powerful freezing counterattack when facing melee attacks. It's a bit of a waste against ranged attacks. Okay, the protective spell is fully charged, so what's next? This alley was already narrow, and the people on the other side were crowded, so Hawthorne silently recited a spell, then suddenly flipped over and raised his hand. Buzz! A circular magic halo appeared in his hand, and then a beam of intense energy radiated from it, heading straight towards the thugs chasing after him. Bang! Suddenly, an unlucky person sitting in the back row was caught off guard and struck in the chest by that energy. Instantly, their whole body flew backwards, their sternum caved in. When they landed on the ground, they began to cough up large amounts of blood, clearly injuring their vital organs. It is very likely that they are on the verge of losing their life. Magic Burst, a practical single-target offensive spell. Moreover, considering Hawthorne's current charm attribute, which is the maximum value of 20 points for mortals, its actual power is even higher than that of ordinary heavy crossbows. So with this sudden move, the remaining hooligans immediately became panicked. What's going on? What hit him? Was it a stone? I didn't see it clearly, but it seems like that guy is really strong. They only have 2 torches, and with this being a corner, there are many areas that cannot be illuminated, filled with shadows on the ground. In addition, the slums are scattered with broken stones, making it impossible to make a clear judgment for the time being. Could it be magic? A thug suddenly screamed. I heard that a group of people were beaten up by a wizard a few days ago. The incident of a bald strong man being beaten up by a young white-haired magician has long been spread throughout the Nangang district. So now, when they encounter another white-haired magician, they naturally connect these 2 incidents together. With this shout, immediately, a sense of panic spread among the crowd. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Hawthorne once again unleashed a magical explosion, releasing a burst of energy towards them. Pong! Unfortunately, this shot missed and the gang members were unharmed. What nonsense! If he were a mage, would he need to hide in the house? Another thug growled. He's just a bit stronger, playing tricks and nothing more. Don't be afraid, Charlie and the others are right across from us, we'll surround them. He is alone, unable to escape from the palm of our hands. The gangs in the slums have generally never seen real wizards, so the rumors about their abilities are naturally varied and strange. Even the battle that took place in the Misty Fisherman tavern that day has been greatly distorted. These people believe that Hawthorne's actions that day were merely a spell, causing the bald, muscular man and others to be seriously injured. Therefore, as they watched the scene before them, they only saw the opponent as a warrior skilled in throwing stones. They all immediately crouched down, which indeed caused great difficulty for Hawthorne's attack. The remaining few shots of his magical energy explosion failed to hit, and on the other side of the intersection, the noisy footsteps were approaching, the enemy's large forces were already close at hand. Listening to the loud shouts from the other side, coming towards him from both sides, Hawthorne stuck his head out and saw that there were as many as 7 or 8 people coming to support him. They were also holding torches, knives, and crossbows, with a fierce and intimidating appearance. Immediately, he couldn't help but sigh. Sure, here is the translation. Indeed, mana cannot be saved. Forget it, let's just use it here. With this thought, he silently recited an incantation. Sleep Technique. Chapter 39 Infinite Power. This is a wide-ranging control spell. Anyone with insufficient willpower will instantly fall into a deep sleep due to the influence of the spell. And now, the time is almost late at night. Even though these hooligans from the Shanasar Guild are nervous and excited, the exhaustion from chasing for so long, along with the fatigue brought by the biological clock, has already accumulated within their bodies. So, Hawthorne's spell became the final straw that broke the camel's back. Bang 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 bang. Almost instantly, at the other end of the corner, the reinforcements from the gang were wiped out before they could even release a single arrow. They threw their weapons, torches, and everything else on the ground, but at this moment, they couldn't care less. They just wanted to lie down on the ground and have a good sleep. Okay, great, problem solved. Hawthorne breathed a sigh of relief, but the thugs on the other side were also close by. As soon as they saw him, several crossbow arrows flew towards his back. Bang bang. After all, this time, the distance was already very close. The crossbowman shot accurately, but unfortunately, the power of the first arrow was blocked by the blade protection mark, and the second arrow had its force weakened by the mage's armor. Then it fell to the ground without even causing any pain. In the meantime, he preemptively hung a false life for himself. This protective spell was enough to make him ignore the damage from this arrow. The crossbow bolts of the companions were unexpectedly deflected, and immediately, the few gangsters who were charging with their knives became nervous and halted their steps. "This kid has magic, Charlie, quickly shoot him with arrows too. Something's not right, why haven't the people from Charlie's side come over?" "Wait, Charlie's side." After turning the corner, these gangsters saw the bodies scattered on the ground and were immediately frightened, their hair standing on end. Then came a scream, "They're all dead." This sound instantly shattered all their courage, making them feel a chill that went straight to the top of their heads, followed by their hair standing on end all over their bodies. 6 or 7 people, suddenly all died just like that. Is he a wizard? Not right. He is a devil. The few people here were so scared that they were almost stunned. Seizing this rare opportunity, Hawthorne directly threw the magic book in his hand on the ground, and then skillfully pulled out another magic book, Introduction to Judgment, from his backpack. He had already practiced many times while in the monastery, so he was already familiar with the act of changing magic books. And what was recorded in this book was another powerful offensive spell, Burning Hands. It can spew out a fan-shaped range of intense fire with an angle of 60 degrees and a radius of 6 meters, instantly igniting any— "Go to hell, bastard." Hawthorne turned around, extending his right hand with a single hand. Without the need for an incantation, a fierce flame burst forth from his palm. Fool. The alley was already narrow, so except for the archer at the back who was extremely cautious and kept a great distance, this raging fire almost engulfed all of them. In an instant, the clothes on these hooligans' bodies and the hair on their heads were all ignited. The burning pain caused them to let out a series of piercing screams. Ah! Fear completely crushed their morale, and immediately, these people didn't care about anything anymore. They turned around and ran in panic, carrying the flames. The only lucky crossbowman behind, seeing his comrades all running away, instantly lost any desire to fight. He threw away his light crossbow and turned around to run as well. The battle is over. Hawthorne breathed a sigh of relief, not going after those gangsters who were severely burned but not dead. He leaned against the wooden boards of the house, panting heavily. "Okay, it's time to go. I wonder when Yuta will catch up again." He walked out, leaning against the wall, passing by the group of people who were sleeping soundly. He lowered his head, trying to determine their identities. After seeing a familiar tattoo in the shape of an eye, he immediately raised an eyebrow. Another member of the Shauna Saw Guild? Sigh, what a small world, we've run into each other again. Forget it, anyway these guys are just cannon fodder in the game. There are so many good things in the Eye Demon's lair, and sooner or later it will be taken down. So there's no point in starting a conflict now. He is no longer interested in this group of people. He takes another step forward, but then his body suddenly stops, and his brow furrows. No, where is Yuta? He turned around and was shocked to find that there was no trace of Yuta behind him. She stopped chasing. Still, she treated these thugs from the Shauna Saw Guild as new prey, and in a fit of rage, she directly pursued others. Sigh. So, does that mean I'm safe for now? But, we can't just leave Yuta like this. A rogue witch, capable of causing immense destruction. This can be inferred from her recent feat of almost instantly killing 7 or 8 thugs and decapitating them. Even if this is a slum, an unregulated area, the sudden death of so many people is enough to shake the entire port of Libel, and it will attract the attention of major churches, the Blackstaff Tower, and even the public lord of the city. By then, the secrets of the witches hidden in the monastery will surely be exposed, and I'm afraid I won't be able to escape the consequences myself. You know, the monastery is my stronghold. Without it, my cheat codes are useless. In this world full of demons and monsters, as a weak ordinary human being, why should I survive? So, I really have to follow up on Yuta's matter. Moreover, just now I have already purified her halfway, there is no reason to give up now. Just one shield spell, 1 illusion of life, and 1 sleep spell, 3 interconnected spells, with a total of 6 mana points. After all this fighting, my mana points are just depleted. Within an hour, not only did I have no combat ability, but I couldn't even take another big step running for myself. Such a self can't even catch up with Yuta's pace, so how can I talk about subduing her again? And wait another hour, wait for the mana value to fully recover. That day, who knows what unexpected changes will happen in the meantime, and by then, Yuta will have already run away. Without combat effectiveness, and unable to wait any longer, considering his current state, Hawthorne couldn't help but feel gloomy. Is it true that I can only stay here now and not be able to do anything? Unwilling, he then accessed his own system, hoping to find some ways to break the impasse. However, when the attribute panel was brought up, instantly, his pupils contracted. Current mana value, March 6th. Immediately, his heart was filled with shock. How could it be? I clearly cast 3 spells, and each spell requires 2 mana points to be consumed. I have already tested this before, so how is it possible that I still have 3 points left? I don't understand either, panting heavily, staring fixedly at my own dashboard. Then, right in front of him, that 3 jumped again and turned into 4. I have regained a bit of mana. What's going on? Why is this happening? He didn't understand. After flipping through the panel up and down, he finally found a new line of small text at the bottom status bar. Magic infusion, your sole ally and contract master, Heidi, is transferring her excess magic to you due to the influence of the Witch's Night. Before the end of the Witch's Night, every minute that passes, you can. Hawthorne suddenly realized. So that's how it is. I can't believe there's something like this. Doesn't that mean that tonight, I can freely indulge in my vices, with an endless supply of blue label? At this thought, Hawthorne couldn't help but burst into laughter. So that's how it is. In that case, tonight is actually my absolute home ground. Well, I'm not worried at all. Heart blossoms with anger, and at this moment, the number of his current mana value jumped again, becoming 5. He wasted no more time, while also equipping himself with sword blade protection and false life, and took out a spellbook, equipping himself with the Aegis of Aegiscythe and dashed forward. After completing all of this, he was full of ambition and turned around to walk back. As long as you follow the corpse and bloodstains, you will definitely be able to find Yuta's whereabouts. Chapter 40, Thirsty Yuta. Yuta is still advancing, killing anyone he encounters, leaving behind countless severed heads, blood, and corpses. She is tireless, she doesn't know how to stop, she only feels an endless surge of magic entering her body, making her strength even more powerful, but her soul becomes increasingly empty, making her urgently want to find someone to fill this void and longing. Ah, hurry up and give it to me, hurry up and give it to me. She continued to charge forward, but suddenly, she caught a whiff of the scent of numerous human souls ahead, instantly stimulating her desire for slaughter even more. And ahead is a large open space at the intersection of the port and the slums, which is now the main battlefield where the thugs of the Shanasar Guild and the Amazonian female warriors are engaged in combat. Even though the commander of the Shanasa Guild sent out many people to pursue, there is suspicion that it was just a diversion, and the real thing is still in the harbor. As for the female executive of Amazon, needless to say, she came today for the purpose of killing and seeking revenge. Both sides fought fiercely, and even though the Shanasar Guild had more people than the Amazonian warriors, with a total number more than double, the latter not only had strong individual strength but also were well trained and knew how to form formations to face the enemy. In contrast, the gang members who only relied on their fierceness and aggression in fights, without any understanding of large-scale warfare, were simply outmatched. Just as the two sides were fiercely battling, Yuta suddenly arrived. At this moment, seeing this colossal figure suddenly burst in at high speed, everyone on both sides was instantly shocked. What is that thing? I don't know. My head is about to break. Please don't kill me. Ah, help me. Chirp. The nearest unfortunate Shana's Sahi gang was hit by Yuta, and the illusionary blade immediately chopped off his head. Chirp. The blood pillar soared into the sky, followed by the falling of a head. And his soul was not free either, being sucked into Yuta's mouth, rejected and shattered into pieces, and then she vomited it out again. It's not this kind of thing, what I want is not this. Where is he? The soul that I desire, where is he? She is in pain, confused, and empty, and can only temporarily cover up these feelings with killing. But what comes back from the entrance of the souls of the dead is only stronger pain and emptiness. This made her even angrier, so she vented her demonic energy and rushed into the crowd, indiscriminately venting her anger by killing wildly. And the tragic situation she caused also suddenly awakened both sides in the fierce battle. Then, both sides, with equal strength, ordered their teams to retreat, spread out, stay away from that guy. But at this moment, the difference in training level is exposed without reservation. Amazon women are trained from a young age, which makes them not only physically strong but also skilled warriors from the beginning. They are disciplined and immediately step back a few steps upon hearing a command, forming new formations with their companions and calmly moving away from the battlefield. The thugs of the Sha Nasa Guild are undoubtedly just a group of scattered soldiers. When they heard the order to retreat, some immediately turned and fled in fear, while others were slow to react. The whole team instantly became disorganized. So, when Yuta rushed into the crowd, the ones who suffered the most were the people who entered the Sha Nasa Guild. At once, the sound of beheading and screams merged together. In less than a minute, more than 10 people lost their lives. No, we cannot let it be so unruly. With this thought, Kent stood up and shouted loudly, "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Her power also has its limits. Where are the crossbowmen? Quickly string your bows and shoot at it together. Hold on, the mage will come to support us soon. We will win as long as we hold on. If you don't fight, you will definitely die. If you fight, you still have a chance to live. Show your courage, brothers, follow me." He roared wildly, his big beard trembling. Then he raised a small round shield with a magical glow in his left hand, and held a steel knife in his right hand. He turned around and charged forward. Behind him, with a broken head and blood flowing, the one-eyed pirate, who had already suffered minor injuries, gritted his teeth and charged forward, gripping the heavy hammer in his hand. This is also unavoidable. Although they brought many people today, there are more than 300 people, but the vast majority are just slightly tougher ordinary people, without any professional military rank. Let them deal with humans, they might be able to handle it. But when facing such terrifying monsters, if they go up against them, it will only result in a one-sided massacre. According to Kent's rough estimate, among the people he brought, there were less than 21st level warriors, and there were even fewer second level or higher, which could be counted on one hand. This also includes Kent himself, as well as the one-eyed dragon next to him. He is a level 6 warrior, while the one-eyed dragon is a level 4 warrior. Among the people present, they are the strongest, so now, only they can go up and hold on. Dang! The blade formed by Yuta swung towards Kent's head, but it was blocked by his magic shield. The latter took several steps back, barely managing to regain his balance, feeling a tingling sensation in his arm. Then, he shouted angrily towards the rear, "Crossbowmen, shoot it together." Seeing their own leader really able to stop this monster, the remaining Sha Nasa crossbowmen finally came to their senses, then loaded their crossbows and started shooting. Fortunately, this time the target is large enough, so even with their archery skills, they shouldn't miss. However, these light crossbows and arrows are just ordinary items and do not carry any magical effects. Therefore, when shot at Yuta, they will immediately be deflected and yield meager results. Kent also noticed this situation and, looking into the distance at the mostly unharmed Amazon warriors, he immediately changed his pace and swung his sword at Yuta. Then, he quickly rushed over there, shouting, "Monster, if you have the guts, come with me." He wants to lead trouble to the east and bring Yuta to the Amazon people. On the other end, Amazon executive Gail Porter estimated the number of female warriors returning to her side and, once she determined that almost everyone had returned, she wanted to give the order to retreat. In her opinion, this huge monster is truly bizarre. Their team lacks spellcasters, so if they were to fight it head-on, the losses would probably be quite significant. Although continuing to fight may result in the fishermen benefiting and completely annihilating Kent's forces in one fell swoop, there is also the possibility of backfiring and letting that monster come over to our side, which would definitely not be worth the loss. She wants to seek revenge, but she also doesn't want the team to suffer too much damage, otherwise she will definitely face impeachment from her colleagues. So, between hatred and future prospects, she wanted to choose the more secure latter. However, immediately after, she saw Kent's leading that enormous creature, rushing towards this direction. Suddenly, her eyebrows raised and anger surged into her heart, looking for death. Soldiers, face the enemy. This time, the retreat plan is definitely ruined. She had no choice but to pick up her shield and spear again, take a leap, and charge towards Kent's. The remaining Amazon warriors had no choice but to form a formation and continue to resist this colossal creature. In the distance, the terrified Cyclops saw this and immediately roared, "Protect the commander." Saying that, they once again attacked the Amazonian female warriors. The battlefield seems to have little change, except for the addition of a colossal creature that is indiscriminately harvesting lives. And at this moment, in the direction of the slums, a panting figure with white hair is slowly running over.